Hello everybody, it's Gary Stuckey here. Welcome back to another episode of Steve Perry News. I've been thinking about those guys in the band, Journey and Steve Perry, the good old days. It's hard to erase those moments, right, from your mind, from listening to them growing up, and then those guys, getting together 4 years ago today. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and what an honor. And is there a more deserving band than Journey to be inducted? I don't think so. That's just an awesome band. Of course you know this. That's why you're watching this video. But to see those guys together, to see Neil and Steve, just the smiles on their faces, and they're hugging each other. To see Arnell finally get to hug his hero and talk to him. To know that those guys got a chance to see each other after all these years. To maybe share some stories. I know it wasn't long. Who knows what was said that night. There could have been some things. Maybe there'll be a book one day. Maybe we'll know a lot more than just hearsay, right? But we do know that those were some big smiles on those faces. We know the speeches were awesome. We know that Steve said, magic fingers soaring over Los Angeles. Neil said, this was so long time coming. It sounded like a song, it sounded like a no racing. We know that Ross Valerie said, we're still here, But just thinking about that night, though, got me thinking about the old days when Steve was just a turkey farmer, right? And his band, Alien Project, they were this close to making it. And then a member got killed, the bass player got killed, unfortunately, in a wreck. And Steve had all but, just given up and went back to the turkey farm until that fateful day that he got a call from Herbie Herbert, who had his demo in his hands. He's been listening to it, And Steve even said 4 years ago during that speech, he said he would not have been there except for Herbie Herbert over there. So you can say what you want to about Herbie, but there you go. You can say what you want to about Journey, but they didn't need Steve and Steve didn't need them, and vice versa. But Steve needed them because Steve had given up. Steve needed something. Call it fate, call it what you will. But he needed something to get him in that direction, to be where he is today. If it hadn't been for Herbie, hadn't been for Journey, I don't believe he'd be where he was at today. And some of the best songs ever, Journey with Steve Perry, and Steve with Journey up here, Faithfully, my all-time favorite song. Escape, my all-time favorite album. Those were the top moments of musical, the highlights of the music genre, of the rock and roll genre. Right there, Escape and Frontiers, and those times when Steve was singing, to me, the best he's ever sounded and Journey's ever sounded, right there. To me. And it's still been sounding great, ever since. So those guys needed each other to be where they are today. Yeah, I can definitely say they needed each other. Journey needed Steve. They're going to lose their record deal. They just weren't making it. They needed a singer that could bring them back up top, or bring them up to the top. Herbie believed in this guy named Steve Perry. So Journey needed Steve. And Steve needed that band with that Magic Fingers guy, and the rest, to boost him, to boost his career, to work together. Sometimes you think things don't go together well. Steve, an R&B guy, maybe he didn't belong in the band. Like he said before, maybe he felt like he didn't ever fit in, like he said on VH1. Maybe he didn't fit in. But sometimes things you don't think go together. Who would have thought you know, peanut butter and jelly. Who would have thought about that? But then you put them together and you're like, say, hey, well, that's good stuff, man. But Steve being the R&B guy that he is, you know, and Neil always has known this, but they pushed him. They pushed him to sing that rock. But like I said, Escape and Frontiers up there with that rock and stuff, and his voice was up there, and they may have pushed him. It might be what caused his voice to kind of give and maybe stressed him out and caused some other things. But, you know, even Neil knew that that's his, you know, that's the thing he loves is R&B. He even said that, and that's why I think about sometimes, you know, I think Neil would really like to do an R&B album with Steve, if not with Journey in another form, but he knows that deep down. And Steve has done a lot of R&B type sounds, even, you know, if you look at Raised on Radio, well, there you go. And that's why I even kind of was wondering about Randy Jackson back, and Narada Michael Walden seems like a perfect setup for an R&B album with Journey. Just in case Steve decided to sneak back in and maybe help out a little bit. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe the future will let us know about how that goes. We'll see what happens. I believe, you know. But the main thing, the important thing, though, is that the guys are at peace with each other. You got to witness that the night of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was nice. You got to witness that with Ross Valerie, Steve Smith. They got a settlement, you know, instead of the final end being, you're fired, you're trying to take over this band, you're out of here, guys. It didn't end that way. There's a settlement, they get paid money, and there's peace, at least as far as that goes now. And like I said in the other video, I feel better about that. So maybe that will continue and keep going. And maybe, just maybe, in the future, things could work out a little bit, you know, for everybody. If not, Steve and Journey getting back together for some kind of project, at least be at peace with each other and maybe get a chance to talk. And maybe reminisce about the old days and maybe get a chance to hang out like at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Just saying. But you never know. Some kind of event or something might pop up. Hey, wait. What do we have here? Playing music at home at Bananas, the grand opening of the new Roland store. Thursday, April the 8th. That's tomorrow. Hosted by Sarah and Vinny of 97.3. And Neil Sean's going to be there. Jonathan Cain, Joe Satriani, Narada Michael Walden, Dean Castronovo, and other special guests. I don't know if they're all going to be in person or online, but that's going to be cool. Who's that other special guest, I wonder? So who knows? I mean, I think, you know, it's kind of like a joke just saying that, but who knows? I think an event like that would probably be the best place. If Steve was ever to say, hey, I want to talk to you guys again or make an announcement or do anything, a surprise like that, an event like that would be pretty awesome. Kind of spontaneous. I think that's how Steve is. A little spontaneous. Just show up out of the blue at an event like that unannounced and say, hey, you know, I want to talk to these guys. I want to do this. Or I want to make an announcement. Wouldn't that be cool? You know, we've had some hard times. Everybody's had some hard times. We've suffered a lot this past year or so. We've lost people. I like to see good things happen. Regardless of what has been said. Well, but they said this. Steve said, Journey, throw that all out. Just don't stop believing, everybody. This is Gary Stuckey. God bless you.